It's time for another edition of Lewis at Large, 60 minutes of smart talk radio featuring guests from all walks of life in conversation with your host, Warner Lewis. So sit back and lend us your ears for the next hour. Now here with today's first guest is the host of Lewis at Large, Warner Lewis.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Lewis at Large. Yours truly, Warner Lewis from the flight deck. And of course that means some smart talk radio is in your future, and this segment certainly no exception. Got an interesting one today, especially those of you that call Lawrence, Kansas home. Got a special guest here today. His name is Shine Adams. Who is Shine Adams? Shine Adams, well, he's many things, but he has started an intriguing nonprofit manufacturing organization called Sun Cedar. They inspire and empower at-risk members of our community, the homeless, convicted felons, recovering addicts, and so forth, in a nonstop effort to provide them a sense of purpose, employment, restore their fundamental human dignity, and by offering them, again, meaningful work. And it's a very, very interesting story. Very happy to have him here. Shine, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well, Warner. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're very happy to have you here, and right out of the box, thank you so much for implementing what I think is not only a clever idea, but one that speaks to a lot of different issues. But share with our Lewis at Large listeners, if you would, a little bit about your background, the kind of work you did prior to Sun Cedar, and what was sort of the inspiration for it.
Sure. Well, let's see. I've kind of lived all over the place. I had a pretty serious drinking problem for quite a few years. About 12 years I was in the bottle, in my cups, and went from contracting job to contracting job, doing carpentry and kind of drunkenly honing my skills over the years, trying to stay out of trouble. And finally I realized I needed to seek some help, and so I chose to quit drinking here in Lawrence, Kansas. So it's such a cute little town. It's a real nice place to kind of start over, friendly people and a nice landscape. And when I got sober, I found myself kind of, I don't know, feeling a great urge to give back to the world. And so I got myself kind of, moving forward. And as I did, I kept woodworking as a hobby, but I started going to university here, and I was more and more interested in the area of social welfare and learning about how to help people and what inequalities were creating problems here in our nation. And it just kind of happened that I was in my workshop one day with a friend who had just been released from prison. And he and I were talking about the problems he was facing and finding any kind of reasonable employment for himself with his criminal record. And this fellow was just at the very beginning of starting over a new life and trying to be a functional member of society. And he was facing a lot of difficulty in actually adjusting into that. And myself, what I was studying and what I personally had been through with recovery and turning over a new leaf, I had a lot of empathy for the guy. And, he's a friend, so I offered him a few hours helping me clean up the shop and paid him for it pretty well. And we talked about it and talked about what it's like to be given a chance, talked about what it's like to feel useful, how important it is to be a real human being with a real job, to feel useful, like your time is valued. It's a big part of working. And it felt good for me to provide that opportunity. And during this time, this few hours that we spent together, we started kind of dreaming out loud about what if I could set up a nonprofit and hire a lot of people who are getting back up on their feet. And, I probably can't completely revolutionize somebody's life, and rehabilitate somebody who's not ready, but somebody who really just needs a little hand up. So I just started doing it out of my own pocket. And I started explaining it to people, and I had a lot of support. And all of a sudden, I needed insurance, and I needed to buy more materials and to do, more marketing. And the thing's just kind of taken off on its own. The newspaper called, and we talked to them, and now I'm talking with you, and I've just kind of let it have a life of its own and been trying to keep up with the momentum that started.
Well, Shine, if you would, again, Sun Cedar is the name of the organization. Tell us the kinds of things that you develop there and why that particular product over anything else.
Well, my workshop, I kind of play guitar, and I used to play music kind of quasi-professionally back in the old days. I learned I taught myself how to build electric guitars, and one of the materials that I was experimenting with using was cedar, and I ended up with a lot of scrap. I also ended up developing a relationship with the lumber purveyor in Pomona, Kansas here by the name of Mark Frieden. He's a great guy. And it occurred to me how much of that scrap lumber was kind of being wasted, either burned or chipped and turned into mulch, or just thrown in a landfill. So my friend and I, that first day in the shop, we ran out of stuff to clean, so we just started playing with some scrap. And I had just bought a car, and I really wanted something to hang from the rearview mirror, but I didn't want to hang a piece of cardboard that was scented. I felt like it would be cool to have a cedar tree made out of real cedar because it smells real nice. And so we just started playing with different designs and cutting out little itty-bitty trees, and I felt like that was a product that was both kind of using up the scrap, so it's environmentally sound practice, and also something that people might like to have around as an ornament of some sort in their closet to keep away moths, in the car to kind of refresh the scent there. Just on a bunch of people this year bought them for Christmas tree ornaments. But yeah, it's just a little cedar, ornamental, fragrant, tree-shaped cedar thing. And that's all we make right now. I've been developing a few different products that we can make out of smaller pieces of cedar. But for now, we're just doing the trees. And I hope that tree will kind of eventually become a symbol of the discouraged worker or right. The renewal of a new life.
What and again, Shine, how long have you been doing this? How long have you guys been actually manufacturing the scented trees?
About a year. Yeah, it's only been about a year, and only the website's only been up for I think 6 months. So we've only really been selling stuff for about 6 months.
So how have people been able to find out about you, and where do they buy the product itself?
I sell everything so far has been sold online. The nonprofit itself, we have a 3-person board of directors. One of the people who is on the board of directors is kind of a rock star, and she has really got a lot of friends on Facebook, and she got us out there. Facebook has been a great marketing tool. Word of mouth has been great. A lot of people, tend to buy this little ornamental tree and hang it somewhere, and then it's a conversation piece, and they tell other people about it. We get a lot of flow to our website, but I'd love to expand and go to some trade shows and get the product in the hands of people who could help me set up wholesale accounts. That's the only way the business can really expand.
Right.
We have not done any of that sort of level of brick and mortar marketing at all. I haven't had time. I'm still working at the homeless shelter here, and so we're definitely looking for volunteers that can help us, or sales associates that can help us to expand that brick and mortar side of the business.
What about, I'm curious as to, and again, I know you don't necessarily have to go into all the specifics, but describe, if you would, just present day, who works there, and tell us maybe some of the background that they have before they came to work at Sun Cedar.
Right now, we have about 7 guys that come in, depending on how much budget Sun Cedar has. There's one fellow in particular who he kind of gets dibs on the hours as they're available. His name is Abraham White Weasel. He's a Native American fellow from North Dakota. He's been living in Lawrence. He came here several years ago to go to the Native American college here, Haskell. And he, like many college freshmen, ran into a few troubles right off the bat. Dorm life for the first time, can be fraught with peril. It's easy to fall in with the wrong crowd to get into the party scene, new in college, and to lose track of your studies. And that's what happened with Abraham. He ended up getting into a little bit of scuffle and trouble with the law, and losing his scholarship and his place at the college, and then kind of he didn't have any sort of support to help him. He's learned from his lesson, but he didn't have any sort of support to recover from the fallout from the lesson that he learned. So, he was a perfect fit for Sun Cedar, and we kind of pledged to help him get out of all of the legal fines that he owed and the fines that he needed to pay off in order to be able to get back into Haskell. And we're pretty proud to say now he's in good standing with the law as well as Haskell University, and he's planning on attending this upcoming fall semester. He decided to take this semester just to get ready to save funds and to do a little pre-studying so that he's ready to go. And we're real proud of him. There are a few other fellows that, I don't really have permission to tell their stories explicitly, but we can say in general, I seek out employees that have had trouble with the law and that have proved signs of positive recovery from that lifestyle that brings trouble with the law.
And again, if you just joined us, yours truly, Warner Lewis, here from the flight deck of Lewis at Large Radio, and an interesting segment here with Shine Adams. He created, developed, and is now helping administer Sun Cedar, which is a nonprofit manufacturing organization. They manufacture using cedar, scented cedar trees, small scented cedar trees, probably the size of what you might see hanging down from the rearview mirror of an automobile, but also can be used as a Christmas ornament or all kinds of things. But more importantly, and just as importantly, it is work that inspires and empowers at-risk members of our community, the homeless, recovering addicts, etc. Shine, again, I'm sure this involves some long days. I'm curious, do you feel at Sun Cedar, do you as the administrator over there have any different issues you deal with your employers than any other company, or is it in pretty much in balance with any other typical private industry?
That's a good question. I've worked in construction on and off for years. I've worked in music prior to that, and I've had a lot of odd jobs. Worked in kitchens and restaurants, and honestly, pretty much every place I've ever worked, being a blue collar guy, I've encountered people with some problem or another. There's always some percent of the population who has a little trouble with the bottle or with drugs or with the law. And the difference between Sun Cedar and other jobs is that we don't judge you for your past. We don't pay you less because of some bad choice you made in the past. We are more focused on offering an opportunity for those who can't find opportunity elsewhere. So we're trying to remove the stigma and help people to face life in a healthy manner and in a refreshing manner. So we do drug tests. We don't allow anybody who's drinking to work. It wouldn't be safe. Although it's legal to drink alcohol. It's not my place to tell somebody that they can't if they're an adult. But we do drug and alcohol testing here, so just because it wouldn't be safe and because it's part of the pact we make with people who come here to work for us, and we believe that being sober is the best way to turn over a new leaf. So that's one difference, is we do insist on sobriety. Let's see, I don't know, the people are the same anywhere you go. I think that there's a section of the population who will have had certain troubles in their life. The difference between somebody who has recovered from those troubles that they've had or those things that they've done that they've paid for and the people who haven't recovered is really the support network. If you go and walk into any restaurant, probably a good proportion of the fellows working in the kitchen will have been to jail once or twice. But the difference is those guys who have been able to get out of jail or prison and start a productive new life oftentimes have family or church to help them get back on their feet. The people that Sun Cedar hire are folks that don't have family or church or other organizations on their side. They are facing a harder time recovering. But that's really the only difference. I mean, everybody that works here at Sun Cedar we vet them out. You know, we look for people who are actively seeking a positive change in life. You know, we don't try to rescue anybody. We try to give people a hand who are already looking for opportunities to do better. Does that make sense?
Yep. Sean, as we start to kind of wind down here a little bit, project out as much as you can, a year, 2 years. What's the future for Sun Cedar? How do you see it?
Oh, good question. I'm super excited about that. I mean, every day there's some positive news happening, either just more people reaching out and giving an email or asking about the project or the program. The next big hurdle is I would like to get together a little more funding so I can expand the workman's comp that I have, so I can actually offer some more work to people who may not want to be working in a wood shop. You know, I would like to be able to hire one or two folks who, you know, male or female, who would like to help with the administrative side of things, to answer emails, to send mail, to deal with the shipping, to do the office work, more or less. So I can hire somebody who may not be completely able-bodied. You know, it could be, at that point I can offer our services to somebody who isn't able to work standing up at a machine.
Right.
That's one goal. Another goal is to actually get out there to some of the trade shows and have a booth and introduce some of our employees to potential clientele that would sell our stuff retail. You know, just one chain store, you know, with a few locations nationwide, if we sold to them wholesale, then we'd have a dependable income, so we could start making projections for the fiscal year ahead of us, and that would be a huge relief, because right now it's kind of hand to mouth. Our budget fluctuates based on our sales and donations that are given to us. We're also we're going to start a fundraiser to solicit donations like that. We haven't solicited any donations so far, which is kind of an interesting thing for a nonprofit, but we've just been running on our own steam.
Sure.
But we could use a hand up, you know, fairly soon. I think the organization has matured enough, and we've proven that it's a real thing, that if we just kickstart it and we get over that hump of the extra insurances, maybe set up shop in a somewhat larger shop, kind of enhance some safety issues, you know, just getting more modern tools and such. I don't know, there's always room to grow. I mean, I see it as doing the same thing we have been doing, just kind of keeping on that same trajectory and expanding what we have to offer.
Yeah. Well, it is a fascinating and laudable effort. The organization is called Sun Cedar, started inspired by work by Shine Adams, and who administers. They manufacture air fresheners and other products out of cedar wood. It is done locally, and it is designed, again, to employ those, the homeless, recovering addicts, those that have had some strife in their life. By working, it inspires and empowers them to not only feel better about themselves, but also be positive contributing members of our own community here. Shine, how can people find out more about Sun Cedar, the work that you do, and if they want to buy a piece of product, where do they need to go?
Go ahead and just Google Sun Cedar, and there's some cool videos on YouTube and Vimeo showing what we do, showing a couple of our employees, showing me, showing the process. We're always trying to make little home movies, so that's kind of fun. So yeah, definitely Google Sun Cedar. Look on YouTube for Sun Cedar. Our website is sun-cedar.com. And then also we're on Facebook, and just Sun Cedar. We're there. We have a presence online. It was kind of cool the first time I Googled Sun Cedar, and there was pictures of all our guys there, you know. And then, you know, I wanted to thank you, Warner, for the publicity and for the opportunity to talk to people about what we're doing. I really appreciate your interest.
You bet. Hey, listen, best of luck to you. Best of luck to Sun Cedar, and would love to talk to you maybe in a year or so and see how things have been going.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to follow up with you. Thank you.
You bet. We will be back with more right after this on Lewis at Large.